To start using Stripe Tax for NetSuite, you will need to have tax registrations created in your Stripe account. Under the Locations tab, you will find a list of tax registrations for your company. By clicking into the Canada location, you will find the tax type of GST/HST which Stripe is calculating. Navigate over to British Columbia where the tax type is GST/PST because it also has a provincial sales tax. Under the United Kingdom location, you will see a VAT tax type registration. Lastly, for California in the United States, the tax type of sales tax will appear. Now that we have the Stripe tax registration locations ready to go, we can head on over to NetSuite. First, we want to enable Stripe tax in the PayPack configuration. To maintain compliance and prevent over or under collection, you are able to configure how Stripe tax identifies taxable NetSuite transactions. Here you can select the NetSuite transaction types to exclude globally so Stripe tax does not trigger a calculation. Next, we want to make sure the Stripe tax registrations we observed earlier in the Stripe dashboard have made it into NetSuite. PayPack has an automated workflow to import new Stripe tax registrations on a daily basis. Here we can see the Stripe tax registration ID for California. We can utilize the Sync to Nexus button to quickly create the matching NetSuite Nexus record. We can configure the preferred tax agency and home tax code for this nexus. In order for transactions to calculate tax, we will need to set up PayPack as a NetSuite tax code. It is recommended to set up separate tax codes for VAT, PST, GST, and US sales tax. Under each NetSuite tax code, simply add a display name or code for reference. Populate the assigned tax agency and tax account. In order to determine product tax rates, Stripe Tax uses product tax codes, also known as PTCs. In Stripe Docs, you can find the list of PTCs and descriptions of tax code use. The first tax code listed is a general tangible goods PTC that can be assigned to your NetSuite items that are typically shipped. Within NetSuite, our integration will automatically import the list of PTCs for you, making assigning PTC to NetSuite items an easy process. You can see a total of 640 product tax codes imported into NetSuite. Go to a NetSuite item and navigate to the PayPack Data tab. Here you can see we assign the Stripe product tax code to general tangible goods, which Stripe Tax will use to make proper tax calculations. Now we are ready to use Stripe Tax. For NetSuite customers in the US, we can find whether they are tax exempt by observing the checkbox labeled Taxable. Go to the PayPack Data tab and PayPack Fields subtab. You have the ability to exclude a NetSuite customer from Stripe Tax calculations. It can be used to stop Stripe Tax usage on orders that are from specific third-party marketplaces or e-commerce platforms. Additionally, the Exclude Filter Override toggle can be used as an inverse to the global rules enabled at the PayPack configuration. Once we create or edit a sales order, we want to make sure the line item tax code is set to PayPack. Then go to the Shipping subtab. If there is a shipping cost populated on this sales order, we will also need to set the shipping tax code to PayPack. To calculate tax correctly, just make sure you've selected a shipping address. Click Save on the sales order, and a Stripe tax calculation will be sent. Now you can see a tax of $58.50 in the sales order summary total. Scroll down to the line items, and you can see the tax rates of 9.75 returned by the Stripe tax calculation. Click into the PayPack Data tab. Then go to the PayPack Tax Calculations subtab. You will find the unique Stripe Tax Calculation ID along with the API request and response that belongs to this sales order. In the Stripe developer logs, we can also observe the tax calculation details, providing full transparency. We can validate the 9.75% tax rate for the sales order line items. The shipping tax is 0 because Stripe determined an exemption for this address. Next, we will build a sales order, which contains the tax calculation. Once the NetSuite invoice is saved, it makes a Stripe Tax Transaction API call, which creates an official record of the tax collected. Go to PayPack Data tab on the invoice. Then go to the PayPack Tax Transactions subtab. A tax transaction ID is recorded on the invoice. You can find the tax ID under the Transactions tab in your Stripe dashboard. Click the transaction to see the specific details used to calculate and report tax on the order. In Stripe, you will observe $58.50 for the total tax amount. Scroll down to see the additional tax details by line item and shipping. This wraps up the PayPack integration Stripe Tax for NetSuite demo. To get started, install PayPack Stripe Tax for NetSuite Suite app by going to the PayPack Stripe app marketplace listing. Want more information? Go to help.paypack.ai where you can find our Stripe Tax integration guide.